Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Digital to Dice podcast. I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
And Ron, we got episode 137 today, I think it is.
Yes, and this is kind of, you remember back in the 80s, when all the networks were required to do PSAs. They couldn't sell everything as a commercial.
Okay.
And NBC had the rainbow with the logo at the end of it, and it was the more you know, or one to grow on. I think that's what they did for the Saturday morning cartoons. Like, don't stick sharp objects in your eyes. One to grow on.
Okay. Okay.
And so today we're going to do growing as a gamer and how we've matured and processed and the things that we might have thought about going into being a gamer when we started to where we are now.
Yeah. All right. So we'll grow as a gamer together today. Ways to get a hold of us, digitaltodice.com. That's our brand new website where we can find ways to listen to us, see some pictures of us in action. Sign up as a Patreon, contact us, and also I'm putting some of my reviews up there as well, so you can follow along to some of our reviews as well. So it's doing all kinds of good things. 978-751-DICE is the text line, 978-751-3423. The email, digitaltodice@yahoo.com. And over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. So...
Yes.
Yeah, well, why don't we get into what we're playing? Because we had a guest on last week. We had
a great time with Mr. T-Bone.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people enjoyed that one.
Wasn't that wonderful?
That was a fun time. Fun time with T-Bone.
That was worth the wait. Between him being sick and me being sick, that was worth the wait.
Yeah. And our well wishes go out to ID Jester, who's recovering from surgery. And he's got his witty humor back. He posted a message on YouTube today.
What did he say?
I asked him how he was doing, and he says, it felt like I got run over by a truck, and then they backed over me again just for laughs. so good.
Well, you know.
Yeah, so he's probably still pretty sore, pretty groggy still, so.
Yeah, so that's what happens when you go to triple coupon day at Walmart, you know?
Pretty much, right? Yeah. It's like Black Friday sale at Walmart, you know?
Oh, dear Lord, yes. Come on. I know you have more than one 65-inch television here. Please tell me you do.
So we have our best wishes to him right there. So let's get to what we're playing, shall we?
Absolutely.
Why don't you take it away this time?
It's been a couple of weeks. I did something I've never done before on my channel.
You had pineapple pizza live on the air.
That, along with spaying and neutering a pet, would probably be the two things that I will never do live on my channel, or never do on my channel. Last weekend was the running of the Indianapolis 500 Memorial Day weekend. And so this tagline for Retro Sports Network, home of the champions of the past, present, and or future. Well, we've done plenty of past. I mean, it's Retro Sports Network for a reason. And we've done some pre-plays and usually get those wrong. But I've never done one with really the present until not only just not the present, but the same day.
That was cool. Yeah.
Day. And so there's a game called Motorsport from Owsat Games in the UK, and it's from Lamborn Games, and so it's a PDF games. It's called Motorsport, and essentially what it does is allows you to pretty much replay any Formula One, IndyCar, MotoGP, which is the motorcycles, or NASCAR race, or any of their affiliated series in history. If your jam is the late stock models, I'm getting this wrong, from 1974, and you know where they started and you know where they finished, you can replay that race. It is absolutely the most phenomenal game for auto racing ever. And Dave and I have been going back and forth for a while, like, how do I show this off? Because these games aren't really meant for streaming. They're meant for...
for you to play.
I mean, they're meant for your own enjoyment, and I enjoyed this a lot. But I figured, what the hey, because it ran on Memorial Day, and all you need to know is the start and the finish. I watched the race. It was great fun. It is by far my favorite auto race of the year. And so about 6 o'clock that night after dinner, fired it up, reread through the rules, and reran. I did not do the whole race online or on the stream or on the video. But, highlights of the race and the end of the race, I did. And so it was a same-day replay. You remember back in the day in the 70s and 80s when they would show the Indy 500 in the yes Monty in that window where they normally would show the Sunday night movie.
Yeah.
So that 9 to 11 or 11:15 they would show edited clips of the car race. So that's what I did. Turned out over 1,000 people watched it. Some of them were very upset there were no video highlights. It's just me playing an Excel spreadsheet.
Right. Yeah.
But that was great. It was fascinating. I had Helio Castroneves won my replay of the race. The guy that finished second, Pato O'Ward from Mexico, finished second in the real race. He finished second in my replay, and it literally came down to a bonus roll to see how far apart they were.
So it was a dead heat. Yeah.
It was a dead heat. I mean, you can't get any more exciting than that.
Right.
Except for you trying to show it off like that. But so, yeah, that was quite cool to do. But it just, it's paint dry. It's watching a power washing video.
Oh, yeah, watching it is. It's like probably someone do like a math problem on the table, and with pen and paper, But when you're doing it, the idea that, you're taking this race and you figure out where they started, where they finished, you plug in the formula, you roll some dice, and you follow the race along yourself. I mean, it's just one of those games that's very enjoyable for you. It's just hard to have anybody watch it enjoy it.
Yes. It was a lot of fun to do. I've run some Formula One races with it. Those go shorter because it's only the 20 drivers as opposed to the 33. And, I mean, the game does a very good job of building the drama. And this happened to be in the one race that I showed off. It literally came down to they are tied after the 500 miles. And you're sitting there literally looking at a photo finish to see whose fender or whose front wing, because it's Indy cars, was out in front. And it turned out that Helio's was out in front. And if that had been real life, he would have been the first 5-time winner of the Indy 500.
Racing games are fun. I've played a handful of racing games, and I'm not a big racing guy, although I do in the summertime I do like kicking back on Saturday night watching the night racing at NASCAR, or even in the afternoon, I guess. It's just kind of relaxing to sit there and just, I don't know anybody anymore that races. I mean, a handful of guys. But I played I'm a casual, racing guy, but I played a handful of racing games and I've enjoyed myself, the ones I played.
They can be quite fun. And again, it's all about using your own imagination. In motorsport, the track the style of track is important. In the Indy cars, Indy has its own little charts, speedways, street courses, road courses, so to try to give it enough variety when incidents happen. But again, this game is very simple to pick up as far as the learning curve is concerned, and it's all about using your imagination. So what else have I played? Our 85 replay in baseball has moved on to August. I think I have one game left in July.
Oh, wow.
We're about to hit the 2-day strike, as a matter of fact, as they struck that season. And the National League races are pretty much decided. The poor Astros have fallen on their face. Poor Steeler fan. He comes in every day to watch, and we flash all the show all the scores afterwards. And the Astros have lost 7 of 10, and that went from a 6-game lead for the Dodgers to now I think an 11.5 or 12-game lead. So the National League races are pretty much kaput, but the American League ones are pretty tight. And these, as a Red Sox fan and as someone who has intentionally picked replays, trying to get the Red Sox to do well so I can feature my team, they never do. They never do. Didn't do anything really in my 78 replay. The 49 team was done by the middle of May. They played well the rest of the year, but that they were never in that race in the American League. Actually, no one was in that race in the American League.
I've developed a new strategy, by the way.
Yes.
When I'm doing a hockey replay and I want the Bruins to do well, I'm going to send the project to Hockey Unreal because the Bruins play unbelievable on his channel, and it drives him nuts that the Bruins play so well. So if I ever need the Bruins to pull out a game in a playoff or something, I'm going to have him replay the game on his channel, and I'll get the win. So you might want to see what baseball teams he likes and doesn't like, and maybe send it off to him. Maybe he'll get you a win.
because, at 85, there are some good races, and, the Red Sox have made a number of appearances, but you don't want to dominate. Well, guess who is in first place at the end of July? The Boston Red Sox, who were a 500 team in real life in 85. They literally went 81 and 81. Well, here they are. I don't think they're going to win the division, but it's a 2.5 game lead with 8 weeks to go. And so, yeah, the Red Sox are in first.
Wow, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about that.
If you'd like me to take over the team, I managed to take a World Series team and get them 22 games out of first place. So if you need me to take over to bring some realism back, let me know.
The realism is that you took the 21 Spiders and turned them into a 4-win team.
I did.
How you do that, I don't know.
That's a tough game to play.
We're having a heck of a lot of fun with that. Did the auto racing. I just did a video today on why I play Stratomatic basketball. So I took bought the 61-62 season. I played a few games with that, and then I went back because, you never have enough projects going on, and played the next game of my 85-86 Celtics replay, and it turned out to be a home game against Dallas. Now, the 85-86 Celtics went 40-1 at home in the regular season and ran the table in the playoffs. They literally went 50-1.
Wow. Which
is just absolutely unheard of. So Portland was the team that beat them December 4th or early December 85. And I played that game and the Celtics won. So Dallas was on the virtual table, and even with Sam Perkins, who was a 20-point-a-night scorer for Dallas, not getting a point. I think we shut him out. I think he went 0 for 13 from the field, which is amazing because that card isn't terrible, but if you roll certain ways, like up, blah, 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 blah. And long story short, I couldn't put them away.
Oof.
They were a good team, so it's not like you lose to a 20-win team. I couldn't put them away, and they beat me.
Oh, wow.
And so I had the home loss. It was to Dallas instead of Portland. I think it was, 8 or 9 points at the end. I stopped fouling. You start to foul. If you think you can get them at the line, Rolando Blackman had 27 or 28 points, and Dale Ellis came off the bench in the first half and put 15 on the board in the first half. He was pretty quiet in the second half. Dallas only had 9 players dressed.
Oh, wow.
Because the computer selects who they want eligible and ineligible. And if they're over in usage by a lot, I'll make sure they stay ineligible because that's how the computer does that. So, yeah, so they had 9 players dressed, and I lost to them at home. With Bird having a good – I mean, there wasn't any Celtics that sat there and had a bad game, but you get outplayed. And so – I had a lot of fun with that. It's not the team I wanted to have win, but it was fun none the same. And what else? So, also, I went through my Steam library.
Okay.
And this isn't a sports-related game. And I had Fishing Planet. I don't know. Sometimes you just need to I do enough Gems of War. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that's close to $800 I have invested into that. Not one penny. Something to do that's not really sports related, because although fishing is a sport, it's not to me, it's not really sports. To keep your mind off of things, and that's something you can put your music on for and be relaxed and do that. Yeah, I got hooked. I haven't spent any money on it yet, but I got
hooked on a fishing game.
Yes, hooked on a fishing game.
I caught that. I did catch that.
I bet you did catch that.
That's another reference to a
there you go. One of the
I bought that hook, line and sinker.
And one of the species of fish in that game is called a crapie, but it's spelled crappie, C-R-A-P-P-I-E.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah.
So that's a rather crappy pun from.
Yeah, you're not getting the drums for that.
So that's what I've been playing. It's been a lot of fun to do that. The motorsports was fun. The baseball's getting into the meat and potatoes of the season, and so you're thinking about playoffs, and of course, if you're a fan of the Cardinals and the Dodgers, remember, we don't do as played in the playoffs, even if it is the same series. And poor Vince Coleman and the automatic tarp machine at Busch Stadium are not meeting.
Yeah.
So if the Cardinals do win that division, he's not getting run over before Game 3. He and Jack Clark will play regardless.
Right.
So anyway, so that's what I've been playing.
Let me see what I've been doing. Let's see. I've been playing more Spiders baseball with Stratomatic PC baseball. Just having some fun with the Spiders. They had a 3-0 lead last night against Pittsburgh Pirates, and they blew it. They lost big time. I think they lost like 10-4 or something like that. But it's just fun to play the Spiders and just watch the hapless team go down. It's a good time. We get a good crowd for the Spiders, and the chat room's pretty lively. And it's just a fun night. It's not very serious baseball at all. It's just very enjoyable.
Given those players who have been dead in some cases as much as 120 years, you've given them life and given them recognition. And whether you take it seriously or not, I mean, how could you take something seriously with a team as bad as that?
Yeah, that would.
But you've given them something, to the point that we spent 2.5 hours with the author of the book of that.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying that 1899 season. It's grown on me. In fact, I do plan on playing some non-Spiders games. I do plan on playing some Cy Young and Honus Wagner games. Because as I learn the other teams, it's becoming fun because I'm really getting familiar. Because I think there's only 10 or 12 teams, so there's not like 30 teams. It's a small league, so I'm starting to know a lot of the teams. And who knows, maybe at the end I might even do some playoffs. Actually, they didn't even have playoffs. It's whoever won it back then. But
RJL takes pretty loose license of playoffs from the seasons that he does, and so
maybe I'll do something like that. Just have some fun with it. I did a video, actually, another Why I Play video come out this week on Why I Play Strat PC baseball. So if you're interested in that, I did a video on that, and I like those. ID did one, you did one. I think the Replay Gamer might have did one too, and it's just fun listening to why people play a certain game. And it's not a knock on any other game. So but it's just this is what I enjoy about playing it. And I want to talk about something I enjoy, and maybe this is how I learn how to play other games. If other people did, it's like, I didn't really think about it that way or think about it this way. So now it's something I might want to do.
So one of the things is I did Strat basketball today. That not saying that other games are bad at all. In fact, I think I made quite clear that there was. There's a lot of good full play basketball games out there. And I think basketball is the toughest of the big four to do, to play, because there are so many different actions that go into playing a full play basketball game. But again, just because I prefer one, why I play this game doesn't mean that there are other bad choices out there.
Well, I plan on doing a lot of other Why I Play games, because I play a lot of games and I want to talk about why I play them all. Mm-hmm. And just because I play game A doesn't mean I don't like game B. It just means this is why I play game A, and then this is why I play game B, And that's the great thing about the golden age of gaming. There's so many different choices you can make, and you don't have to be stuck with one game. You can play different games for different reasons. So I did that video there. I did another video on when a lot of people have been starting to play Hockey Bones.
Yes.
And a lot of people are starting to play APA hockey as well. So there's a couple of games I'm finding that people are playing a lot of newer players to the game. So I did a video, 8 tips and tricks on learning a new game. And this is stuff that I've learned from the community and some things that I've tossed in myself. So I did a video on that talking about, if you're starting a new game, here's some of my suggestions that I think that I got from the community and some of my own to help you start up a new game, because some of these games can be quite daunting, and if you just don't jump in with both feet, start off slow and build up the game, and that's kind of what I talked about today. So I done
you get something, you print out the rules, or you open up the box and there's 20 pages of rules or 30 pages of charts. Yeah. I mean, you could be quite daunting and scary.
Yeah. So I give some tips and tricks on what I do when I learn a game, and it's really helped me out, a whole bit. And we'll talk about more about that in growing as a gamer today.
Yeah.
And I guess the big one I've been playing is the Hockey Bones. I've really taken to that game, much like I did to APA hockey when I took to APA hockey. And I'm just on a huge binge of Hockey Bones right now. And I'm playing after I played out my Stanley Cups, I did the 70-71 Stanley Cup Finals, and then I did the 74-75 Stanley Cup Finals.
You've done a couple finals.
Yep. Buffalo won, by the way. Buffalo beat the Flyers in 6 games. That was a fun series. What I really like about Hockey Bones, probably the biggest selling point, is they card every player. And I know that's not important to some people, but for me, I like to know that, I can pick any game on a schedule and I can look on NHL.com or Hockey Reference, whatever it is, and see who played in that game, and I can have those two teams pit up against each other with the exact rosters.
And that's important, even whether you choose to use the card or not. At least you want to have the option of.
Yeah, I like the fact that, I got some guys. In fact, I started the 92-93 Boston Bruins season. I'm just playing the Bruins games, and I'm going to try to play them all. And I'm actually 5 games in already, so I've been chipping away at it. Yeah. And the first game of the season was against the Hartford Whalers, and they had a guy on left wing that played 1 game, and that must have been the only game he played.
Played opening night.
So he played opening night at the Boston Garden for the Hartford Whalers, and then he's done. But he was carded, so I got to use him in the game. And whether we got a point or a penalty, it kind of doesn't matter. The fact is that he was there for me to use, and every game I played, I've used every player in the game. I didn't have to substitute anybody. I didn't have to fudge anything. It's all there, and that's a big selling point for me. And again, is it the end of the world if that guy wasn't carded? No, it's not the end of the world, and it doesn't ruin the game for me. But it certainly adds to the game.
I mean, to piggyback on that, did an Angels Blue Jays game this week, and sometimes we have great pitching matchups, and do as played because it's so easy to do in the computer. There, everyone's kind of quote unquote carded in action or has a data line, and so the Angels. Poor Angels used a guy that might have been his only major league start. Certainly was his only start of the 85 season. And you looked at the card, or you looked at the data line, he went 2 1/3 innings, allowed 8 hits, and had an average of 1543. And so if you're doing kind of not as an as played, there is no way in purgatory you're ever going to start him. Because you just don't know. I mean, we talked about this quite a bit during the game itself. Manager doesn't know what's going to happen before the game starts. You go out there. Turns out, he didn't pitch well. Let's not say he threw a no-hitter or anything like that. But he lasted 5 innings. His earned run average was under 9. Again, they lost 5-0 or 5-1 or whatever it was. But it was nowhere near as bad. But, yeah, I mean, the guy had his experience, just like your guy for Hartford who – pretty much sat and drank Gatorade in the sin bin, I think, most of that night. He got his chance to play. And for whatever, I believe my player's name was, what was the name of your skater?
I don't even remember now.
The name of my pitcher was Tony Mack, and for an hour, someone remembered Tony Mack and talked about him. And again, I think that's, it's one of the reasons why we play.
There was one time that I had a goalie card in Strat, and it was just almost like a straight goal on every single roll of the goalie card. And me and you talked about that, how bad can this guy actually be? And we went back and looked. I think he played 1 game or 2 games.
Oh, yeah, we read about it.
Didn't he give up 9 goals or something like that? And that's why he just didn't stop anything. So he's not somebody you would play more than 1 game in a season.
There was nobody behind him. I think it's one of those emergency AHL call-ups or something like that. You're right, dude.
When we looked up this guy's stats, he did give up 9 goals in 1 game, and so his card was just reflected that. I'm like, how bad could this guy be? Well, again, small sample size. If he had played a handful of games, obviously he would probably come down from there. But he got carded for his 1 game with Strat. Give him credit for carding him, and it was just a disaster just of a card for a goalie.
When I covered the Washington Nationals early in that 2017 season, first weekend of the season, they go into Philadelphia. And they had signed a mediocre pitcher by the name of Jeremy Guthrie. Had some decent years with other teams, but he was one of those non-roster invitees and made the club and was going to be they didn't really have a 5th starter, so he's going to get his audition in a real game. So they bring him out in Philadelphia, and he doesn't make the third inning.
Oh, jeepers, really?
I think he got yanked in the second. It was one of those. It was one of the whiplash game because he's just, pitch. It's one of those ones that Ricky Keeler and I are live tweeting and just going back and forth in private chat, going, "This guy's going to get DFA'd during the game," which I think they waited some warning. But one of those things but Guthrie has a card, and every game that cards everybody in Stratomatic or roster card or what have you, and that card is going to be brutal because I don't remember what his ERA was for that performance that he would long like to forget. But it's a matter of record, and he got one.
Nice.
So yeah,
that player's name on the Whalers was Scott Daniels. He was a left winger. He played one game, and that was the game he played in, and he got 19 penalty minutes in that game. So he was in there for one reason only, and he got his job done for that one game. So just in case you guys are wondering,
stick your fist in a bucket of chicken to keep it swollen, right?
Yeah. So my big thing now is I get Studio A. I have the table set up, and I got the card. So I'll play a period of Hockey Bones, and then I'll go do something else, and I'll come back and play another period, and get up in the morning and play another period. So I've been banging out the games a period at a time. I've really been enjoying playing, and I've been listening to the NHL playoffs. So I'll have the iPhone there, and I'll just put on Sirius XM and listen to the game. Because if I put it on, if I have it on the TV, then I won't be playing my game. But if I have it on the radio, then I can listen. And then any time, if it goes into overtime or late in the game, I'll jump off and go watch it on the TV. But I'm playing my game. I'll listen on the radio. It has been so relaxing. Let me tell you. Just late at night, listen to the game, down in my little area, minding my own business. It has been so relaxing playing this there. And one last thing about the Hockey Bones there. I'm finding to be one of the more realistic results hockey games I've played.
Yeah, you've had some good results with it.
Yeah, and that's what I heard about this game is that, for all its quirks, and every game's got its quirks, the results that you get out of that are pretty darn good, I got to say, at least in my small sample size. And again, not a knock on any other game, okay? But in this game here, when I played the 74-75 Cup Finals, I nailed the score exact, 4-1. It was pretty scary. It was scary that I hit it exact. So, and then I've hit a couple of Bruin scores pretty darn close in this season as well. So it's been a scary good, as they say, how I've been coming close. And I don't know about the stats yet because I haven't done personal stats yet. I haven't calculated them, but the scores themselves have been pretty darn close to what happened in real life. So that's been very cool with the Hockey Bones there. And that's about it. That's kind of what I've been playing.
Okay.
All right, so we should get on to the main topic.
Absolutely.
All righty, so we're going to talk about growing as a gamer, and some of it is trying different things. Some of it is having more patience. And some of it is tackling on some harder games, maybe, or some things that you never thought you'd do. So why don't you lead us into this?
All right. Well, you hesitated for a while at first with playing a longer played game. And at first it was Tebow's video for Apple Hockey that got you to jump in. And then you were ready to do it because the video made sense, and you went and you pulled out one of the Bruins teams from that late 80s, early 90s era, and it just made all sorts of sense to you. And you waited for a while to play Hockey Bones, and you waited and waited. And then when you started to read the rules and talk with some others, and you just kind of started putting that puzzle together, and you realized it wasn't the rock climbing that you thought it was going to be to get there. And you've really enjoyed both the games. And I think one of the things that I think we all kind of get into is we don't really want to ever leave our comfort zone. First of all, I think it's whatever it is that you're introduced to first as a gamer is what you're going to play. And so for me, Strat Baseball, game number one that, was outside of the NFL Pro Football for the computer and Micro League Baseball for the computer. But, the first card and dice game I played for reals was Strat Baseball. And so I understood how that worked, and we did a mishmash of basic and advanced rules, and that was it. And so that was my cutting my teeth on cards and dice baseball outside of the championship baseball, which I played in the early 80s. And so a suite mate of mine showed me APA baseball. And I took one look at the cards, and it just looked like reading a Chinese menu. You know, there's a number 13, there's a number 8, there's a number 5. What the hell does this all mean? And I just kind of poo-pooed it. Like, no, it just wasn't what I didn't really want to learn another game. And it's like, it's all on charts and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. And then for years later, when I got back into gaming and you'd read about, oh my goodness, APA needs this and APA needs that. And I got this homemade chart and your grandmother made that homemade chart. And it's not realistic and blah, 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 blah. Well, I went to Wayne Poniwaz, who is the creator of Above the Rim basketball and Second Intent football, which we've seen on all of our, most of our community's channels at some point in time. So he had an APA card. They weren't official APA cards. It's an APA clone. And I think it was like 50 some odd seasons. And so I started to figure out the game, and I realized that I liked it. I was able to figure out how the game worked, and I enjoyed it. And yes, it made sense. And then you realize the first time you look at just a series of numbers, and it doesn't mean anything. But once you understood that those numbers had meaning, and just, I don't know, because, well, actually, no, I did listen to BZ sometimes in the wintertime growing up, and they would read all the school closings. But in some districts, when there was too many schools, they would just read off 3-digit numbers. So let's say Danvers High was number 125. So if you're listening in the morning to your grandmother's station, and here's the school closings today, 123, 124, 126. No, I gotta go to school. That sort of thing. So you realize that 13 in APA is a strikeout and 31's a fly out to center. And once you started to memorize those results, the game really moved quickly. And that's just when I gave it the second chance. Maturing as a gamer, I enjoyed it. I absolutely enjoyed it. You figured out how it worked. It wasn't so difficult. APA Basic is a lot better game than people give it credit for. Is it the be-all, end-all? I mean, APA made a master game.
I love that game. I do.
But yeah, as far as games that just kind of, you can literally play a game of APA Basic in 15 minutes.
Yeah, and you feel like that you've got a full game in, which you do, but it doesn't feel like that things are missing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because because baseball is an end result game. There are games that you can go pitch by pitch for, but no, it's a full play baseball game that you can whip out in 15, 20 minutes. And because it is, it works with memorization, it hums. The game hums.
Yeah, it does. So a couple of things I may note of. Oh, by the way, the school closing. Yeah, there was something about snow days that were just awesome. I hated school. I did. I'm not going to lie. I hated school. I get out of school as soon as I could and went to work. Just me. I just didn't like it. So a couple things that I've noticed is that I'm tackling the longer games. And for the longest time, I was a quick play game, a medium play game. I want to play a medium project, or if I want to do a longer project or a medium long project, I don't want to play a long game. I want to play a game that I can go boom, 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 so I can get more games. And so I was all about the quantity rather than the quality. And I still am to a large degree. I love looking at a project I can do, but if I know the game's going to take me either between 1 and 10 minutes rather than 2 hours, I can do a greater project. But I've been tackling the longer games, and it doesn't even matter how long they are, because people say, well, how long does it play APA hockey? How long does it take to play Hockey Bones? I have a hard time answering that, because I'll take 5 or 10 minutes to set up a game, get my cards, look at the roster, set up the lineup. So it takes me 10 minutes to set up the lineups. And then I start rolling the game, and like I said, I got the radio on. I'm listening to the game. I'll play a little bit. I get a break in the action. I'll go grab a drink. I'll pet the dog. Sometimes I go upstairs and talk to the wife for a few minutes. So I'm not sitting there trying to race through the game. When I'm streaming, when I'm streaming a game, if it's a longer play game, I do try to pick up the pace a little bit because no one wants to sit there for 2.5 hours. So if I can get it done, a little over an hour, hour and a half, especially a longer play game than I do. But if I'm playing myself, again, I play a period. And I go off and I go do something. Then I come back and I play the next period. So it's hard to for me to determine how long these games play because I usually don't sit there and bang them out in a hurry. When I'm offline, just myself playing, I'm really starting to smell the roses. I'm enjoying the coffee. I go upstairs, I make a decaf coffee, I come down, I take a couple sips, and I start rolling the dice. I'm even figuring out what the penalties are. In this Hockey Bones game. So I'll roll to find out what the penalty is.
Right.
It means absolutely nothing in the game, but to me, it rounds out some of the detail.
You're telling yourself the story, sure.
Yeah. I even bought a body part dice, I think it's called. And it just gives you different body parts.
Did you get that at Spencer's, Dave?
I did not, but now that you say it, I'm going to have to go see if they have one. but no, it just says like right arm, left foot, head, chest, things like that, and it's a huge 12-sided dice. So every now and then, if I make a big save or I get a goal, I roll the dice, and it'll say left arm. So it's like, what a glove save. Or if it's like chest, then it's like, or lower body or whatever it says. I'll say, oh, he put it through the 5-hole, Ray Bork got hurt. I rolled the dice. It said right leg, so he took a shot off the leg and he was hobbling. And so it just adds a little bit to the game, and it adds time to the game, but it adds some detail. And I don't always use it, but once in a while, let's see where that shot went. He beat him low stick side in the goal. That was kind of fun. So it just kind of gives me a little bit more of emergence. So I've been tackling the longer games, and I'm not as worried about how long they take. If I'm enjoying it, and whether it takes an hour or 2 hours, or it takes a couple of days of me chipping away at it, I just want to enjoy it. And I have been. So for me, the longer games, which I never was a big fan of, I'm now becoming a fan of. That's part of my growth and maturity.
Yeah, I think so. And I think although we don't have a lot of younger people doing these games at this point in time, I think one of the things you had to learn how to do, we did a whole show on this, is learning to lose.
Yeah.
You take your favorite team and you want them to do something that they couldn't do in real life, or, stomp on a rival or whatever, and you lose because they can't do what they did, or you had a bad day, you weren't concentrating, or the dice was there. And one of these things you have to learn how to do to enjoy these games is, look, it's not always going to go your way. Going back to the Celtics game, part of me really wanted them to not lose at home, because it's a hell of a story to sit there and go, yeah, we didn't lose at home all year. But it have been one thing to have been, stomped on or whatever, but, they gave it a good effort. No one had an especially bad day. I didn't have anyone in foul trouble. So it wasn't like, if McHale had played or if Bird didn't go 2 for 20 from the field, they might have had a chance. They just got beat. And they got beat by the better team on that night. And I was completely and utterly okay with that.
It still is. It still sucks because I'm playing the Bruins here, and I'm playing 92-93, and they started off really good, and now I got a hard West Coast road trip I'm on right now, and I'm still getting upset when the other team scores, but again, I'm enjoying it, but it's still like, oh, come on, oh, son of a gun, they scored again.
And some of the details of the game, you got to go back to that basketball thing, it's strat. You could have an open shot, but if there's an R in the shot column, it means it's a pass. It's a replay. Another 6 seconds take off the clock. And so Danny Ainge didn't take a lot of shots. And for strat, that's how they control how many shots you take. So you had the ball. You might even have an open shot, and you roll, and it's an R. Like, oh, and it gets frustrated. Like, dude, you're open. Take the point.
Yeah.
But again, it's all part of the grander picture. So learning to lose is there, and then forgiving yourself when you make the mistake. you talk about, although I haven't seen you get frustrated with this, oh, I forgot to check for block shots, or, oh, I forgot to do this, or, oh, I didn't do, I read that wrong. And forgiving yourself for making the mistake within the game or not understanding. Because especially in a card and dice situation, we may play the same 3 or 4 games, but it's just kind of like Monopoly and Uno. You and I are never going to play by the same set of rules. You might be one of those heathens who never collected the money for landing on free parking, or maybe you did.
There's times that for myself, like I say, I'm playing a lot of the hockey bones here, and I start getting into the game, and when I see a shot come up, I get excited. And I wasn't checking for block shots for a while. I just forgot because I was so excited about the shot.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, here comes the shot to tie the game. And the thing was, there was not a lot of guys in some of the games that had a B for a block. So when I check and there's no Bs, and then all of a sudden somebody has a B, but I was not checking for it because it was just out of sight, out of mind. So I screwed up for a while there, like not checking the block shots. And also with the rebounds, you're supposed to do a clearing check on the rebounds. And the same. There's also a clearing check in Apple hockey too, and but that's an extra step that you have to remember. And I would get so excited that the rebound came to the guy that I wanted with the puck, I would forget to check for the clear, and I would just allow the automatic shot because in APA it's an automatic shot for the most part, and in other games Strats are an automatic shot. In this game, it's not an automatic shot, and I stopped beating myself up for that. I just said, look, okay, something happened and they didn't clear it. I didn't check for it, but we're just going to go that they didn't. You have to just go on with that. Say, look, okay, I didn't do something. So I could either get all upset and go back and redo it, or I could just go with it and just say the heck with it, because it's in the big scheme of things, it really doesn't matter.
There are times that people have kind of questioned decisions, and if it's questionable enough, I'm gonna go back and look at it. And again, you get excited. I mean, you're getting your rules. I know that you and some others had forgot when you played the Strat hockey that pass, penetrate, or shoot.
Oh, all the time I forget that. I forget that I had those options.
Yeah, and there are certain things you just got to, again, take notice of and what you do. But yes, and especially in the PC games when you have to make a managerial decision or forget to make a managerial decision because it happens. If we're streaming, you're entertaining the audience and you're trying to figure out what to do, and you're in the middle of the chat. And maybe the chat's not getting along with this up, and yada, yada, yada. But again, you talked about it. You get so excited about the situation that it kind of becomes front and center. As opposed to why did you not send the runner home, or why did you send the runner home, or stuff like that. And again, forgiving yourself, you don't want to cost a team a win, but in the grand scheme of things, we are only human. And I've watched enough baseball games to see third base coaches get vilified for sending a runner home and was out by 25 feet. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, so that happens. Other things I suppose too are trying different style of games. I'm not a huge quick play gamer. I'm much more about the journey than the destination. And honestly, figuring out ratings for two teams and then rolling for that is not necessarily my favorite thing to do because we've talked about putting meat on the bone. For me, so much about it is about immersion. But when I started to play the Shavini games, and a lot of those are, cross-check for the final score or his volleyball game. Three-point volleyball, three-play, whatever it is. Triple, whatever. I can't remember off the top of my head. The first thing you do is roll to see who wins. And you have scores, you cross-reference columns, you total them up, and then you subtract them, and that's how many sets that the match went. Volleyball at that level is best of 5. Mm-hmm. But there is the option of rolling. You take the two-sided die and rolling to see how many points a squad scores.
Okay.
And so that means, if you know that the U.S. beat Cuba in 5 sets, okay, you can just kind of advance that through there and just look. That was real quick. interesting or not, but you can roll to see what those 5 sets are. And the first kind of 4 sets you can, or when until someone gets up to 2 sets, you can kind of roll another dice, odd or even. Okay, it was even. So Cuba won this set by how many? And so that just, again, builds on the immersion. And because it's a quick play game, it might have not been something I would have done before. It's like,
right.
Okay, yeah, there's depth here. And you get that, and it makes you want to pull out the game again.
But I kind of had similar things on my list here, whereas I'm trying some harder games, and I got a couple of hockey games coming up that are going to be extremely difficult, and I want to give those a try and give them a fair shake at some point. I'm not ready yet because I'm on a different kick right now with games, so I don't want to stop what I'm doing to try a brand new game. But I got some harder games coming down the pipelines, for baseball and hockey that I want to try. I also like trying new sports as I grow as a gamer. Specifically, some of the racing games that I've done. The play racing, red, white, and blue racing is extremely fun to play, and I wanted to pull that out for Memorial Day, and I never got to that. I got busy around here, but that's one I want to pull out again. There's just some different games. Again, my big sports are the football, hockey. So when I play baseball, it's kind of a big deal. That's a different sport for me to play because I'm, like I say, just kind of casual baseball. But there are some other sports that I play. I've played some of the Shavini tennis games and some of the Shavini golf games, and they're really fun as well. I've done some wrestling from time to time, so it's fun to try the new sports out as well, so I'm not just playing just hockey, so to speak. I also like new seasons. And that's you talk about your comfort zone, and that's a real difficult thing for me because I have my favorite seasons in all my sports that I like to play. And let me tell you, going 1899 baseball is something I never thought I would do.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, as someone who my wheelhouse is 75 to 86 for baseball, that's about it. The Sox against the Reds and the Sox against the Mets and everything in between when I grew up playing Little League myself. That was about it. When I got out of high school, I didn't follow baseball all that much. When they won the series in 2004, I actually sat and watched a couple of games. That's probably the first time since 86 that I actually sat and watched any games. So for me to play 1899 baseball, which I know absolutely nothing about, and now I do, that was leaving my comfort zone and trying new seasons out. It really was. And so things like that, I feel like I grow as a gamer as well.
Yeah, doing the 49 replay was that way for me. It was a season I was curious about. It's not, for my viewers, it wasn't really going to be anyone that they knew. I mean, obviously some names, Williams and Yogi and Stan Musial and Ralph Kiner and some of those, but it was to do a day in and day out replay of a season that was that old was certainly out of your comfort zone because yes,
yep.
Whether I've intended to do it, 3 of the 4 seasons I've done have been between 78 and 86. Football, I find a challenge just because I'm not a huge football fan to do that in stream. And we talked about some of the frustrations with some of the games. But, you can just kind of, you do it and you realize that while you're playing it, there is some fun there. And some of that's for streaming abilities and some of it's not. I mean, because there are so many, again, trying different sports, golf, tennis, auto racing, bowling, boxing, all things that you pull out and things that you own. And there are so many good options out there right now. You can find it that, yes. And again, do you want to do everything from when you were 13 years old? No. And I'm more of a stock replayer, but the boxing and the tennis stuff and the golf stuff tend to be more what if. And I'm not a huge fan of what ifs, but those really kind of have to be what ifs to be fun. And that can be, can you suspend reality for a bit? So what can Tiger Woods and Arnold Palmer do if they play against each other? Well, their peaks were so far apart that if Arnold was out playing at Tiger's peak, which he did some, Arnold wasn't going to break 80. Yeah. At 70 years old. But, that. And so, kind of letting I suppose, out of your wheelhouse and let the story kind of come to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other thing I like to do is advanced rules. I will try to, over time, incorporate more of the game's advanced rules, or whatever you want to call it, whatever the term is the game uses, because each game, mostly games have a basic line of gameplay, and then they have some additional things you can add for realism or for cosmetics of the whole bit. And I talked about that in my video today on the 8 tips and tricks to learning a new game. Is start off just learning the game, get the basic stuff going, and then tackle all the different options that you can add on in the game. So I find myself doing some advanced rules, because you get comfortable with the game. Okay, I can play this pretty well to this point here. Maybe I need to throw in some of the extras to see how much more fun it makes a game. And that will include injuries, which I just started to really play in this last round of hockey games I was playing with Hockey Bones. I never did the injuries. I just went right over them, never could be bothered with them. I'm playing this game to play with these guys, and if they get hurt, then why bother playing? That was my attitude, and it still is to a certain extent. But now that I'm working them in and I'm trying to grow as a gamer, it is adding to the storyline. When someone gets hurt, when Ken Dryden got knocked out of the game, that was it. Chicago scored 8 on the backup goalie and won the Stanley Cup. It was a great storyline. Tony Esposito got hurt in the game. He missed a period. He came back. That was a storyline. I'm playing, like I say, the season I'm playing now, I got a couple guys out. That's a storyline. So,
the Bernie Perrant fan club is not sending you a Christmas card this year.
No, Perrant got hurt in one game, and he came back, and he was terrible. And it's just for the roll of the dice and anything, but that was a whole storyline itself, is that maybe Bernie's not quite healed up from his injury, and it's still nagging him. So he played sparingly in that series. Stevenson played very well, so I kept him in. That was the storyline, is that Stevenson was playing so well, and Bernie would come in and give up the first shot and get a goal on the first shot, so maybe he wasn't quite healed up. He gave up three goals on 10 shots. I took him out, and that was part of my storyline, but that was because of injuries there. And again, I didn't carry over the injuries. It just kind of so happened that he didn't play well in the next game, but that was part of my storyline after the injury.
Kind of all dovetail, but to be fair for you, I mean, you bought, Sierra Pro Football 97 or 98 or whatever?
Front Page Sports.
Front Page Sports. That was the Sierra, yeah. And you wanted to take one of those 49er teams, and so was Steve Young, and he gets his leg crushed in the first quarter of your first game. And, yeah, for a new gamer, that would be... Yep. That's the reason why I'm doing this, is to play with him.
Yeah, and I did the same thing with Bobby Orr. If I played a season to play in game 1, Bobby Orr's done for the year. Nope, well, cancel that. Let's start over, because I didn't play this to play with the other guys. I wanted to play with
it's like as much as Dallas Smith is a fan favorite in his own house, no, I'm here to play with Bobby Orr and... Can we get Brad Park now? No, you're still 2 years away. Come on.
So I guess the big thing for me, and I kind of summed it all up here, for me growing as a gamer was just becoming more open-minded.
To dovetail on your injury thing, I think it's, one of the things I've learned, it's okay not to finish a project.
Yeah.
You get like, okay, I'm married to the project, and then you see new game, new video on the best 75 passes from Ken Anderson.
Oh. I need to play that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, an 80-yard bomb.
Oh, yeah.
That's so
cool. Oh, yeah. You do. You get the itch.
It's okay, and because some projects, it just doesn't work. You get excited about it. By the third game you're into, it's like, are you feeling this at all?
Yeah.
Because if it feels like a grind...
Well, the other thing is, too, is that, I just started this 92-93 Bruins season replay. And again, I'm 5 games in, and I'm enjoying some 5 games in. I don't doubt that at some point I'm going to finish up one of these games, and I'm going to put the Hockey Bones away, and I'm going to want to pull out something else.
It's that 6-2 loss to Ottawa that's going to go.
And it's not because I'm done with the product. It's just because, I don't want to be stuck in doing this and nothing else but this, and I don't want to burn myself out on a particular game. So I'm going to probably back off from this for a while and then go play something else. And, I have actually I got a couple new seasons coming in for Hockey Bones. One of them was 76, 77. And I plan on playing some Cleveland Barons hockey games. And I plan on playing some of the games that they got smashed in, too, just to see how bad, like, the Canadians and the Bruins and the Blackhawks might smash them. Because I like to play those crazy games once in a while. So I imagine when those seasons come in that I'll take a break from 92 and drop in a couple of 76 games and try to have some fun with them. And then I'll go back. And I definitely want to pull out, solitaire pro football and second season football. I'm getting the itch to play some football now, even though it's June. I'm still getting the football itch. So I imagine at some point I'll do that. But my thing is that I become a little bit more open-minded as I grow as a gamer, as I matured as a gamer. I'm trying to be a little bit more patient with games because I'm not a patient person. I'm just not, and I will admit that. I have a problem, if you will. And so I'm taking on the longer games that take long. I'm taking on the harder games. I'm trying some new sports, some new seasons, advanced rules, injuries. So I'm really trying to grow as a gamer by taking on and tackling certain things that I never did when I was playing these games. And for me, some of these things are working very nicely, and some I'm not too thrilled with, and so I might not use as much. Also, I found, too, that I would get all amped up when I played a new game, and I would immediately start homebrewing it. I would immediately start adding to it and changing things and doing this and doing that. And I found that as I've grown as a gamer, I've backed off a lot of that stuff, and I'm trusting the game to do what the game does. That being said, it doesn't change my mind on how bad the rule book is in APA hockey, and that I am going to keep every single change I've made in APA because it.
So you've really made that game work for you.
The only thing I've really done major is to use a lot of the Mike Berger techniques to simplify the penalties and the assists, because the idea of rolling 15 times to try to find an assist or a penalty is just absurd to me. So some of those things there weren't necessarily, well, I guess they're considered a homebrew, but the idea was I'm not changing the game. I'm speeding up how you get results.
Right.
But the core of APA I kept together. It's just there's some things that just needed to be sped up. And those two really speed up the games. So I have backed off a lot of my homebrews, even with the shootout hockey. I changed a lot in shootout hockey, and then I slowly walked them back. And I'm maybe one or two things I keep. Like I do like to flip twice on the fast action cards with the empty net. That's just me. I know you're supposed to flip once. I like to flip twice. It adds drama to the final minute of the game. That's one homebrew that I did keep. But a lot of the other stuff I kind of backed off, and I'm kind of playing it as is. And I think that's, too, like I said, maturing a little bit, where it's like, let me just trust the game a little bit more than I did, So, but trying to be open-minded, trying to be patient, trying to enjoy the games, not worried about how long they take, not so much worried about, winning and losing, which is hard. And just trying to enjoy the experience, because again, I've been having so much fun the last few weeks, just on my table at night, listening to the hockey game and playing longer play games, whether it's Bones or whether it's APA hockey. That's what I've been bouncing back and forth between. And it doesn't matter how long that is. It doesn't matter if it's that night, if it's the next day, or if it's even the day after that. It doesn't bother me. I'm enjoying it a lot. And then if I want to play a quick game, I jump over and I play some Strat PC baseball, because I can get a game done in 20 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
So, and I still got some of my quick play games that I have going on. Some of the Downey games that I have here. So I have some of my quick play games that I've done, and I'll bang out a quick. I forget what I did the other day. I did something real quick. I just banged out a quick series, rolling dice, and I didn't really talk about it, just all offline. But it was just something. I get, like I said, you see something. Oh, I get the itch to play this. Let me play the finals out. Roll some dice, and I'm done. Might even been a World Series or something like that. I did, but yeah. So I feel myself, and I can that every day. No, not every day, but you know what I mean. That I try something different. I come at it from a different angle. I can see that it's definitely some kind of maturing in me. Mm-hmm. And it's I surprise myself sometimes when I really look back, like where I was 3 to 6 months ago, not even that long ago, to where I am now. And especially if I look back 3 years ago to where I was, it's like, wow, I'm doing a lot of different things, and I'm really enjoying what I'm doing right now. And I never thought I'd be at this spot back in the day. So I can imagine where I might be in 3 to 6 more months, what I might be doing and tackling in the whole bit, you know. So there were things that I did differently. You know, even in the hockey games, I would wait 4 minutes to do a line change because it just was simpler for me. I'm going every 2 minutes now. It's a lot more time. It's a lot more work, but I'm also getting some really neat matchups.
But the rewards, I think, for you are important, and that's the whole thing.
Yeah, when I can get, you know, line 2 matched up against line 4 because I'm switching lines every 2 minutes and I'm pulling from a random card deck that I have to see which line's out there. That's better than just line 1 versus line 1 and line 2 for the entire game. It really is. I'm getting some good matchups. It adds to the storyline because maybe the coach is trying to get a certain matchup, but maybe one line he played too much and they're gassed. So now you got to play the fourth line, which you don't want to, but you have to, you know, according to my rules. So even that is something that I was always like, I'm playing 4 minutes. I only got to change them 5 times a period. It's going to save so much time. The game plays quicker. Now I'm playing, it takes longer because I'm doing 10 changes. Every 2 minutes I'm changing lines. And I'm getting some matchups I never thought I would get, and it really does feel like a hockey game.
The last point I want to make is I think that, you know, when you read how other people do things, and some people are very particular in how they do replays or projects or what have you, you know, and you come across it from a different way. Your way is your way. I mean, we've talked about for a long time on the show, there is no wrong way to play. It's your game, your rules. But I think for some people, it may be harder to understand, you know, to feel comfortable with that. I mean, you talked about indirectly about modding a new game. Like, nope, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do A, B, and C. Like, no, play the game and see how it is. And again, you know, you can take any game and kind of jigger it to how you want it to make it work for you. But if you introduce something about, well, okay, let's just do a basic one. You know, if you don't like pitchers hitting in a baseball game, that's if you publicize the project, some people are going to give you some static about it. Oh yeah, and understanding that no, this is the way that I'll go back to. My buddy, my best friend from elementary school and the early part of high school, when we played micro league, we just kind of agreed that, no, we're going to do a DH we grew up as Red Sox fans. Yeah. So every game is going to have a DH. Well, you know, there are people that may not like that, but no, I mean, understanding that what you bring to the table has to work for you. And if it doesn't work for anyone else, I mean, it's always hard when someone criticizes you for certain things. Mm-hmm. But it's, you know, no, this is how I choose to play. And I think that there is some sort of material like, no, my game. This is how I'm going to play.
Again, your game, your way. You are the official scorer, and you can do whatever you like.
Right. And for you, it was playing without injuries or toning down penalties or any of the 8,000 different varieties of ways that it's not, you know, out of the box, but you know, it's Dave's hockey, it's Ron's baseball, it's whatever it is, and understanding and accepting that, and it's like, yeah, nope, sorry you're not enjoying it. You play the way you want to play, and I'll play the way that I want to play.
Yeah. Yep. And so, so we want to know, have you grown as a gamer? Have you matured as a gamer? Are you doing anything different than you used to do, or do you kind of stay in the course? You know, we'd like to know. We'd like to know your gaming habits here. So leave us a comment. Let us know here on YouTube or on Facebook or wherever else you like to post to. So we wrap this up?
Yes.
All right, by the numbers. This has been episode 137 of the Digital to Dice podcast, and we talked about growing as a gamer. Ways to get a hold of us, digitaltodice.com is our website. 978-751-DICE is a text line. digitaltodice@yahoo.com is the email, and over on Facebook, the group is facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. And we got our 3 stars, Ron.
I was going to see how long you were going to go before we got to
yeah. So our 3 stars here
at the beginning, and now here we are at the end.
Here we go. Our 3 stars here in episode 137. So, our 3rd star, it is going to be Mark Kroinovich. Mark, thank you so much for supporting the show here, Mark. Thank you so much. Our number 2 star is one of our newer Patreons, Captain Carl.
Woohoo! One of the pillars of the community for sure.
Yep. And then the final sponsor, the final Patreon, the number 1 star for episode 137. He is the owner of Steeler Fan Buggy Whips on the corner of Smith and Main. When we do our 1899 Spider replays, it is Steeler Fan 1933.
Go Astros!
Yeah, it is so much fun when he comes into the Spider streams. He's got a whole storyline of his own in the chat room about what's going on down at the Buggy Whip store that we do. It's just we just have a crazy time with 1899 stories and making up stuff. So he'll be our number 1 star this week as a patron. So thank you to Mark, Captain Carl, and Steeler Fan for being Patreon supporters. And again, thank to everybody. And shout out to ID Jester. Get well, buddy. We want to see you back on YouTube as soon as possible. And I was watching his Apple football rant the other day. It is just great. I watched the whole thing. It's over an hour long. It's better than watching a movie. It really is, because it's so heartfelt and it's so spot on. And he just says what's on his mind. And it's entertaining. It is heartfelt. It is true. Again, it is really fun and really entertaining and very informative. So
we spent an hour and a half together on Memorial Day on Monday, and some of it was obviously aired, and it was such a good time. It really was, and I'm glad that the surgery hopefully went as well as expected. And again, when he's ready to be on, he'll be on with us, and we're gonna have a great chat.
Yeah. All right. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Dave.
I'm Ron. Bye-bye.